All right, I found another letter by Daniel Riley. Let's read it. Terre Haute, Indiana, February 28th, AD 2013. Bill. People who think like us are the mainstream. We are the true Americans who must carry on the tradition and principles that our revered forefathers fought and bled for in the American Revolution, in order to transmit to us their posterity, the blessing of liberty. These principles were commonly referred to as the old Whig principles, or republicanism. Republicanism's principles stand for a government as limited as possible, a government that is frugal with the least amount of taxation, government most at the local level, government that borrows only when absolutely necessary. Individualism is more important than collectivism. Government stays out of the people's lives as much as possible. Honesty, integrity, and a high standard of morals. These principles can longer be found in the governments within the United States. I'm pretty sure he means can no longer be found. Our country is going to have to be restored by us right-thinking Americans who hold these principles dear. We are the true Americans who think for themselves and have not been deceived by our enemies, mass media. Our enemy, the moneyed interest, brainwashes our countrymen with ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, CNN, MSNBC, all major newspapers, all major magazines, etc., forming opinions for all those who cannot think for themselves and lack common sense and reason. I think of Mao Zedong, the brutal dictator of Communist China from 1958 to 1961. Mao seized all of the food from the Chinese people to use as currency for his military buildup. Over 38 million people died. Millions more were tortured, killed, or sent to prison labor camps, but millions still cheered and loved this wicked, evil dictator. Why? Mao had control over the mass media, so he was able to keep the Chinese people brainwashed and kept them from the truth to what was really happening and the cause of it. These deceived Chinese were the majority, but that does not make their beliefs right. They were not the mainstream. They were the destroyers of their fellow countrymen. The point is, whoever controls the mass media or has the ability to get their argument, point of view, or agenda into the minds of the non-thinking herd of humans will be able to control that herd and use it to their advantage. Our enemy, the money cabal, uses the tyranny of public opinion to get their socialist frontmen elected, like that scalawag Obama. I knew I liked this guy for some reason. There will always be an unthinking herd waiting to be told what to think. Unfortunately, these two are our enemies. No person in their right mind with their facilities about them would choose to live under socialism. We cannot and must not let the unthinking herd drag us to the doldrums of socialism, as is and has been happening in our country. Socialism is the antithesis of republicanism. A socialist government is a despotic government. And fear is the first principle of a despotic government. Men and women who fear do not have courage. Ask yourself, do the American people seem courageous or fearful to stand up against the enemy's government? Your answer lets you know what type of government is over us. Samuel Adams said, "For whenever tyranny is established, immorality of every kind comes in like a torrent. Right versus wrong, good versus evil. The line of demarcation between these principles has been written as if by a sunbeam. There is no gray area. The legalization of homosexuality is upon us like a torrent. Is this good? If not, then it is evil. This is a covert attack by our enemy on the family unit. The enemy used its mass media to bring about the acceptance of this immoral behavior. Such behavior is contrary to the laws of nature and should be abhorred by every right-thinking individual. The money interest is using its mass media to mold our country like clay before your very eyes. Slowly but surely, to establish their despotic socialist state, not only are we fighting against the tyranny of public opinion, but we are also forced to contend with the tyranny of the public debt. The national debt and the taxes that naturally accompany it have thrown such weight of power into the national government that we must think this was not intended by our patriots' ancestors. Under such conditions, no man or woman can rightly or truly call his property his own, and the danger of slavery is no longer merely theoretical. In every government, the practice of contracting debt is certain to be abused. Right now, the principles of republicanism are at the mercy of the forces of debt and corruption, and debt is inseparable from the question of taxation. The debt is used to reap a fresh crop of taxes, as we have just witnessed, with the enemy's government wanting another harvest of taxes, as we wade deeper and deeper into an ocean of boundless debt. The whole funding system is dangerous to liberty. Any government that relies for support on its creditors and not the affections of the people cannot last. As Thomas Jefferson said on August 19, 1821, there does not exist an engine so corruptive of the government and so demoralizing of the nation as people as public debt. The pages of history lets us know that a government career of debt brings in corruption, which spins off immorality and rottenness, which always closes in revolution. The debt is going to bring on us more ruin at home than all the invading armies abroad. Hold on just a second. Against whom the military are to protect us. Either the nation must destroy the public credit, or public credit will destroy the nation. The enemy's government spending has put us in a hole. The first thing to do is get out of the debt hole, is to stop digging. Only fraud could suggest, and folly alone adopt spending your way out of debt. But yet the enemy uses its mass media to get the unthinking herd to vote its unscrupulous politicians who promote such a course. Like vultures, the enemy preys on the waste of public money. We are seeing our country become under the yoke of force and fraud, the natural consequences of corruption. We, the patriots, with correct reasoning, are the only thing that stand between our enemy and liberty. As we continue to weaken under the increase of poverty and taxes, our window of opportunity to defeat the enemy continues to narrow. We must continue to exhaust all peaceful remedies to redress the loss of our liberty. Taxation is not liberty. These are trying times we are living in. The ends of our government have become perverted, for it has not fulfilled the ends for which it was instituted. And now public liberty is manifestly endangered, and once all means of redress have become ineffectual, we may and of right ought to throw off this government, and institute a new one. This final appeal to the Second Amendment was anticipated by our learned founding fathers. As Patrick Henry said on June the 5th, 1788, the Second Amendment is the means of defending our rights or of waging war against tyrants. Well, that is all I have to say for now. Therefore, I will end it here by simply saying, take good care, post online, CC the world. All right, that is Daniel Riley, the man right here. This is his mailing address. I pray you mail him a letter. Been in prison 9 years, has like 18 years to go. Insane. Insane that we're putting men like this in prison and forgetting about him. I, for one, am not going to forget about him, and I pray you don't as well. God bless and take care.